Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to yet another edition of the Lambom Show. Today is Saturday, March 9th, and we are going to be talking about something very important subject on education, career options, concentrating on IT. Everybody now wants to be an IT person, but I don't think everybody understands. And this is the second part of a conversation we had started earlier on. And I'm privileged, as always, to have with me the one and only Mr. Primus Vekuh. Brother Primus, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing well. Thank you. A pleasure to be here again.
Yeah, absolutely. I am the one to be grateful and say, hey, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for seeking to impact the lives of members of the community. And our conversations today is going to be on navigating the complex IT world, prospects and challenges. I have a faint idea of what IT is. That is a broad term, but I'd like for you to start off. First of all, tell us a little bit about Primus Learning. What is Primus Learning?
All right. Thanks for that question. Primus Learning is basically an organization that helps bring practical skill sets to our learners, to people who want to get into IT, into information technology career paths. Right. So Primus Learning is founded from a background of experience, and of course we pass through the same practical skill set type of education that we are promoting at Primus Learning. So it's basically helping people discover the different career path in IT, especially when it comes to new technologies, and helping people realize how they can get into IT, how they can get started with IT. Of course, they have to understand that there are so many things you could do in the IT space, and so to be able to choose an exact path is difficult, and that's why Primus Learning is here to help people with those career paths and help train them practically so that they can get started in the clouds, or rather in IT.
Good. So information technology is a broad field, a broad term, many people dabbling into it, many people trying different aspects of it. My understanding is currently, I think during COVID, there was many people got into Scrum Master.
Right.
Okay. And most of them don't have jobs now. Because that was an easier way. I know that some of us tried it to become a Scrum Master, but before that, there was people who became DBAs, database administrators, then systems administrators, all of that. Then cybersecurity, which has been also something that many people are venturing into. I want us to have at the back of our minds two sets of people. One, those in the US, those in Europe, those in Canada. They have just come in. These are people who had different careers in Africa. They have now moved over to America, to the US, and they are trying to look for something. And many people say, hey, get into IT. So get as somebody who has just arrived, or somebody who has been here and wants to do a career change and wants to get into IT, what should they do? What are the things they should look at? What programs should they look at?
Okay, interesting question. First of all, you're right. So many people who jumped into roles like Scrum roles during COVID are out of the job because of the effect of the market, of course. And normally, I don't teach Scrum Master at Primus Learning because I consider that role, Scrum Master, project management, and all of those. I consider those roles to be roles for people who've been in IT for long, and they don't want to get in, they don't want to manage anything technical anymore. they are retiring, they are resting, they just want to coordinate people, but they understand the whole life cycle of IT projects. They understand the whole concept about software development, and so they can lead others. They can help others coordinate software development processes and IT projects. And so, I consider it not to be what you do for 2 weeks, or you do for a month, or you do for it's something that you need to already know, and then just learn the principles. It's just a set of principles and a couple of tools that you learn to become a Scrum Master, right? And so, but it takes more than that. It takes a lot of energy to become one. It actually takes knowledge in the field for a long time to become a good a good Scrum Master. Else your organization will just notice that this guy is not doing well, and definitely the next project you will not be part of it. And that's why you see a lot of layoffs when it comes to the Scrum Master role. Anyway, for somebody who's come to the US and or to Canada or to the UK and is interested in IT, I first of all would tell them, we'll have a tete-a-tete, or a discussion. We try to figure out what was that person first of all doing in Cameroon, right, before coming, or in Africa before coming. If say you were in banking, right, I will know the direction I can help you towards. That will make your life a little bit easy, but will secure you a space in the IT market. If you were in maybe sales, I will understand that, hey, this person needs something like a Salesforce type of role, because it will easily integrate the skill sets that they already have into that space. Because here they will need to learn just one tool, which is the Salesforce platform, and use the knowledge that they already have in sales to advance quickly, right? That's a career path you can trace for yourself in IT and really grow into it. You can become a Salesforce administrator, and from there you grow a career to a Salesforce developer, a Salesforce architect. These are big roles in IT, and they pay so well. And you don't need to be too technical. You don't need to be really technical to do this. You just need that background knowledge in sales, because it's all about customer relationship management. It's a customer relationship management to platform, and you learn how to create customer relationship processes for organizations. That's all you do. That requires some kind of sales background, right? Common understanding of how to deal with customers, to deal with products, and so on and so forth. That is how I would direct somebody who comes from a marketing or sales background. Somebody from a finance background, I'll be advising them to move towards data and analysis. Right? They probably have some economics in their background, in their tool sets. They probably have some mathematical skill sets. They probably have some numbers, and they can quickly analyze. They can quickly calculate. They can quickly do all of those things that they do in the bank. And so when that type of person gets into data analysis, it is easier for them to adapt, right? Because they'll learn tools like SQL to manipulate data, to calculate things, to aggregate stuff, and all of that. They'll learn SQL, they'll learn a little bit of Python, and other tools that have been developed. They are just functional. They are not too technical. They're just functional tools like Tableau, like Power BI, and so on, to build on top of what they already have. That kind of person can easily grow in data analytics, data engineering, data world, or business intelligence world. And there is a whole career path that that person can have. You can grow into becoming a cloud data engineer. You can grow into becoming a cloud business intelligence developer. You can grow into becoming anything within the cloud space. That is a space currently, that's a new technology, and it's a space currently that is really very good in the market, and pays a lot. And if you come with a kind of analytical background, that's where you want to be, right? But if there's somebody who comes in with a kind of typical science background, somebody who can adapt quickly when it comes to technical details, like programming, somebody who does something over and over and is not bored by it. That kind of person can grasp concept, DevOps concepts. They can grasp anything when it comes to writing scripts and building them, building loops and so on, and different components in that are required, of course, to get into a little bit technical role or technical roles. Yeah, so that's where I'll be directing that type of person. I'll be directing them to get into things like DevOps trade, or to get into things like cloud computing, particularly maybe AWS or Azure or GCP and so on and so forth. Those people are able to quickly adapt. It's not everybody who can quickly adapt in those in those environments. The learning curve there is a little bit heavier than it is for for the non-technical or semi-technical courses that I just mentioned, or career paths that I just mentioned, like Salesforce or business intelligence, data analytics, and so on. So yeah, that's how I'll be directing people. It all depends on who you are, how you can grasp concepts. But there are other people who maybe because of orientation back home studied something generic, like maybe went into the English language or geography or whatever. There are some people who are by nature very technical, right? There are people who are hands-on people, who are people, practical people. But in Cameroon, because of the situation, they found themselves studying anything, right? So you can see those type of people excelling a lot in very technical roles when they get to here in the US and so on. So it it's not only about your background, it also depends on your passion, your capabilities, your zeal, your enthusiasm to really do it. Because actually anybody can do it if and only if you are very passionate about it. It may take time for you, it may take longer, but if you are persistent, if you are consistent, you'll be able to grasp it. It's all about, being consistent with what you do, being consistent, and trust me, you can definitely get it.
So,
I would like to, well,
so just before you hold your thought, I just wanted us to, again, for the sake of the audience. So you mentioned it seems as if the best people to get into this, and I like the way you put it. Somebody who has a call it a sales mindset, they can get into Salesforce, isn't it? And then somebody who has more analytic and what kind of mindset. So the technical people, hands-on people, people who have a background in science, they get into DevOps and all that good stuff, isn't it?
right,
But then it's not as if you don't have any of that, then you cannot get into. You can still get into it depending on what passion you have. So there's background, there's passion. And again, for the sake of the audience, those who are watching, who will be watching later, it's important to note that you need to have a one-on-one session with Mr. Vekuh so that you can get good orientation. And I'm sure the way that orientation gets is, what were you doing before? What are some of your passions? What are some of the things? Then you're able to get a direction. So this is, it's not just something where somebody just wants to get a number of people into a class and then ship them out and people, no,
right,
it is
absolutely.
tailored. It's tailored to your particular strengths, your particular needs, and how to move you forward. So again, IT is a good field. We called it, I said, navigating the complex IT world. It's very complex, but at the same time, it is not impossible. You're about to say something before I interrupted.
Yeah, I wanted there's a theory, or a call it a framework that I've been working on or developing. Uh, you know, just about career paths that you can choose, right? You notice that there's been call it a paradigm shift in terms of IT roles. When it comes to IT roles, there's a kind of shift from the traditional IT roles to more uh, specific roles uh, that are, that are new. They have a specific way of working and all that. So let me trace a little bit that picture. So say um, you have normal traditional roles like database administration. You hear of relational databases. That's a traditional role that all of us are aware of. So you hear of database administrators. You have people like traditional software developers. You have, roles like systems administration and all of those normal programmers and all that. Yes, um, those those are still existing, but there's a little bit of shift as far as current roles are concerned and as far as organizations are concerned and their hiring needs. Why? Because uh, you know, because of the coming of new tools and technologies. With the coming of big data, cloud, well, not that big data is coming, but with the discovery of the potential that big data has, with the coming of cloud computing into the IT, you know, the IT space, there's been a really huge shift from the 2000s upward, and organizations are beginning to adapt to those. So from the traditional roles, you discover that cloud computing brought about a different way of looking at things. So say you had a traditional database in your local environment, you would not typically host that in a server somewhere, and you need a database administrator, you need a server manager, you need a network engineer, you need all of those people to set up that environment, right? And run your organization. But with cloud computing, you no longer need a traditional database administrator, because there are different stores, there are different ways you can store data in the cloud. Just with from a web browser, you're able to do that. There are different ways. You don't need a network engineer, because you just need an architect who can develop your environment in a cloud space, and you store your data. Just one person can be your database administrator. He can be your network engineer. He can be your architect, the one who designs the whole thing, right? And so you see that most traditional roles are beginning to face off a little bit and giving way to more to newer roles, to well-defined roles. So you have solutions architects, you have cloud engineers, you have cloud database administrators. They are no more just database administrator, relational database administrators. To be a cloud database administrator or a cloud data administrator, they are removing the base most often. You need to understand how different types of databases work, not only relational databases. You have to deal with relational databases. Relational databases are just the databases where you have a table connected together and all that. That's a typical relational database system. But you have non-relational database types, right? That are, it's just key value pairs. So let's say my name. So the key there is name, right? The value is Primus, key value pairs. So there are databases like that, DynamoDB and so on and so forth, MongoDB and so on, where you just create, you just save something as it is, the key and the value, and that's it. And these are beginning to polarize the whole IT space. Organizations do not depend only on local systems, on traditional systems anymore. And so there are different types of data warehouses as well. And instead of just singular processing of data, organizations now use systems that are robust enough to process data parallelly. And so you get different types of data, data stores. We call them data stores now. And so, the types of skill sets that are needed for those roles have shifted quite a bit. And somebody who traditionally who understands just database administration would find it difficult getting a job in the IT space now. Maybe a few jobs here and there with organizations that are slow in adopting new technologies, But I think there needs to be a different, a different way of thinking. So there is need for people to learn, to continuously learn new tools, to continuously adopt new tools and adapt to the IT space. And that's across the whole thing, right? Because data has increased, the volume, the velocity of data. That's what we call big data. So Facebook, YouTube, all the videos we're doing, where do we store them? The the tweets people make, the comments, the posts, and everything. Where do those go? Those are terabytes and terabytes of data. And so local traditional systems in data centers, smaller data centers, can no longer hold this data. But with cloud computing, there are data stores that are elastic, that elastic. They can go as much as whatever, right? So you need people with skill sets to manage those types of data stores, because data is increasing every day, and you need different type of computing power to process that data because it's increasing, and you need different types of tools to process that data. With the traditional ones, you are not able to do that anymore. You begin to face so many challenges with performance and so on. So there's a shift, and people need to realize this and get into roles that are a little bit, you know, dynamic as well, that have shifted, that are very practical and related to the new, to the, call it the paradigm shift that has occurred. So that's something that I consider very much before developing and designing courses for Primus Learning.
So thank you very much. I mean, the two things again that I have come out with from this is, first, big data is what is reigning currently. So you no longer have your traditional roles of just being a database administrator. Everything seems to be in the cloud, and
Right.
you have these um, regular systems, relational databases, but also you have to relate that to the cloud, isn't it? So now, if you just go and study your regular database administration, you may not be able to be competitive, which is the word, being competitive.
Absolutely.
And because it's constantly changing, it also means that you have to be developing yourself and getting, that's why you find people having 2-3 jobs, because they have the skill sets that are necessary. The problem is with most of us is, we have a degree that we earned 20 years ago. We are stuck with that degree. We have this thing, and we go around looking for. The world has changed.
Absolutely.
So, Primus, a strange question for you before I get into something else. But I mean, I find it that there's formal education where people have to go to a university to earn a degree. Why should I consider coming to Primus Learning than going to a degree program in America, which may be more recognized than Primus Learning?
Interesting question. Of course, a degree in America will be recognized, but I can tell you, I've been hiring for the past 5 years now. I've never asked the candidate for the for the type of degree they have, or even whether they have a degree. What I'm looking for in candidates is basically, do you know what you're talking about? Can you demonstrate to me that you know? And can I take you at, technically, and go deep with you, and understand that you're able to do what you're telling me that you're able to do? That's what I'm looking for. And most people who come out of institutions in the US, you notice organizations sometimes go directly to schools to hire. When they go to schools to hire, I've done college hiring and all of that. When they go to hire, they are expecting a certain level of um, practical skills. They are expecting some sort of um, you know experience. They're asking you for experience. Do you have 1 year experience, 2 years experience? So where do you get that experience? You get you don't get that experience in school, because in school it's mostly theoretical. You could go to school and study computer information systems, and you come out and you're not able to get an exact role, because you studied general concepts
Yes.
around the various roles. Things are still very generic. You still need something practical to get into a particular role. So let's say you study cybersecurity. You will study everything about cybersecurity, but you are not particular. You will not be able to get into a SOC role, because an organization that is looking for a security operations center analyst wants somebody who knows the tools, who can use them, and is practical. But if you leave school with your normal degree or degree in cybersecurity, you are very generic. You don't have those practical skills. You could pick them up really quickly because you know the concept. And that's why you will be coming to a place like Primus Learning that offers you exactly what you'll be doing at your job, right? It offers you exactly the practical skill set. So instead of going to get another layer of theory, you come to us directly and we help you get those practical skill sets that you require to do the job. We've had people with different computer science degrees, information technology degrees, cybersecurity degrees, who are coming to us for practical skills because they cannot find a job directly. So you need some sort of experience, and that experience, you come to us and we operate a complete production environment. Our training takes you through a normal production environment. You see what's happening at work. We can um, some classes, right? We have a development environment for our Primus Learning Management System. So we tell them, hey, play with this environment. That is directly what you have on our learning management system. But we tell students, play with this environment. You take this assignment, you need to deploy this thing and monitor it. Hey, tear this environment down and bring it up if you're a cybersecurity person with us. So you're having that practical experience. You're using the tools that are used in industry. But in school, you would typically just learn the generic things, the concepts, and all that. The concepts are good, quite good, but they really do not give you the hands-on skills that you need. That's why would advise you come to us for the practical skills. Now, once you've gotten the job, maybe you came from a geography background or philosophy or history or whatever. Once you've gotten the job, you need to grow in your career. That sometimes requires something else, and that's why we don't end at just, hey, just learn the practical skills. Sometimes when you come in, we tell you, all right, you've gotten the job, you've been there for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Where do you want to be in the next 10 years? You want to see yourself being a chief security officer or a a you know a chief technology officer or whatever, a director of cloud engineering. That requires, those are specific roles in organizations, right? That requires some level of, education, some level of, something to show for it. And so we always advise people to go back to school, go enroll if you are already in there, you've had the job, you have that practical experience, go and enroll in programs and keep going. And that's why you saw me. I enrolled in my master's program, I enrolled in my PhD program, and just because I want to have some backing, I want to understand the whole thing, the way it works, and be able to help others as well. So yeah, it's not like we discourage general education, or we discourage people from going to the universities, but you need to be able to earn money while going to school, right? And you only be able to earn money if you're hired, right? And if you're not hired, um, you know if you don't have the skill sets, it will be impossible to do that.
So again, I know we still have a couple, but you're a young man. So for a man like me who is 50, how would I be transitioning into an IT profession at this time? I'm already getting towards it. So do you get old people? Is age an issue to consider? And what would you advise people who are within a certain age bracket?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. Age is an issue in well, from my experience. Once I'm hiring, I'm trying to get somebody who can be with the organization for 5 years, for 10 years, for 20 years, right? Somebody who has a diverse type of experience, depending on the type of role. So sometimes people who are older, they come in and they're expecting a certain level of salary, a certain level of, so it all depends on your background, what you have, and people who come in to who are older and they want to learn with us, we tell them, hey, first of all, that age is a limitation generally with organizations, because organizations expect you to already be you should have been with them for a longer time, right? But if you are at your prime, they know that yes, this person has to be really good because he's experienced this over time, and so you have a limitation there, which means you need to work harder, right? You need to work harder to be very good. So if you're getting into something like Salesforce, you need to be absolutely very good to be able to break the interviews. So there's a little bit of difficulty when it comes to people who are older and roles in IT, but there are organizations still hiring. last year I hired somebody who was, I think he was about getting to 60. Why did I hire him? He knew a particular system. We're using a particular system. He was very good at that system for the clients we're working on. That's the only reason I hired him. There were better candidates in terms of the general skill sets, everything, but he came in because he knew a particular skill set, an older system, and that's why I hired him. So it all depends the kind of thing you're coming to learn, and if you're able to learn and adapt really well, yeah, you can do that and have, let's say, 5 years experience on your resume, and that works for some organizations, right? You can be a lawyer and decide to become a an IT person, and organizations understand that. So sometimes we try to really align you with what you've been doing in the past, so that that transition history can match. Else, organizations will be like, how is this person moving from this quickly to this, and how does it really fit? So we try to look at people with a history that is relate has something to do with that. So if you were 20 years in Cameroon as maybe a communications person or a project manager or something, you have really good ties with certain roles. If you were maybe a manager of an organization, and then you come in and you're looking for something that is managerial in IT, right? That is easy to adapt, and your transition story should be should be good, right? So it all depends on individuals and what you were doing and all that, and we check and see if this person is really good to do IT. Not everybody can adapt. So
Yes. Uh, Again, clearly some of us are out of the market. But the other point is, so I'm wondering, in terms of being able to learn, I mean, the age doesn't, what are some of the things that, call it, what uh, elements of learning would somebody who is transitioning, just coming to Cameroon, what are some of those things that they need to get themselves prepared for this? Because again, the danger here is when people come here, they're looking for fast money because they want to pay back the loans that they have taken at home, or people back home that have too many demands and all that. So they are looking for the fast thing and they are not paying attention to certain things. But somebody who wants to really transition into IT, what intellectual, I'm looking for the right term, the enabling environment in terms of their intellectual capacities should they be adopting so that they can be successful in getting through the training?
right, great question. We've had a lot of people who have come in, and they are so, like, they just want something. In fact, most people I speak with, they want something quicker, and not above 3 to 4 months. Most people I speak with, they want something really quick, but that's not how you get in. You get in by being patient, because it's a new career path, and it's technical, and it demands something different from what you've been through or what you already know. So it demands a lot of erasing some ideas, erasing things, changing the way you communicate, or adapting to new communication methods and ways of bringing information out. It demands a lot of teamwork. It demands a lot of uh, smaller details that people in who come in and they don't know how to use emails, or to create a Gmail account, or to use the computer, and to apply to a job, or to the way you approach a recruiter, and all of those things. It takes time to adapt to those things. It takes time um, to get through those things. So the first thing is you have to be patient. um, I know most people learn and also try to earn a living, right? So they'll be working, doing some other job, and then learning at the same time. So it takes a lot of sacrifice as well. So you need to be patient. You need to sacrifice your time, maybe some sleep. You sacrifice some sleep to study. And then you need to understand that there are a lot of challenges when it comes to technical things, and it requires consistency. So many people just give up after 1 month, after the second month or the third month. They give up. They are like, no, this is not for me. That IT is about consistency. It's about you keep, uh, you know, keeping on with it. Um, and of course, there are a lot of people who expect that after graduation, immediately they're leaving, they're having a job. But that's not usually the case, because there are a couple of people who do that, have a job immediately. Some even have jobs while in class, because people come in with different backgrounds, with different ways of working, with different approaches. And so a lot of people come in and they're expecting to hit the job, the jackpot immediately they leave the classroom. But it takes consistency. It takes lots and lots of applications. I tell my students we have a formula that we use, 2 times 50, which means you study for 2 hours a day. Once you've graduated from our platform, you study for 2 hours a day and you apply for 50 jobs a day. That means you would get a lot of rejections. So you need to learn how to deal with rejections, because ITs, they're looking for a specific thing. If you don't have that thing, they are not hiring you. And so it's difficult to get an organization that is looking for that looking for that person who has that exact skill set. It doesn't matter whether you know some other things. They are looking for this particular thing because they want to implement this thing. Let this person know how to do this one. If you don't know that, IT is so broad. So many organizations use different tools within the same career path, different tools, different ways of working. So when you see that organization that is looking for you, that's your role right there. But it sometimes takes a lot of rejections. So you need to learn to deal with rejections. It takes a lot of just persistence, applying and applying. There are people who apply for thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs, and they get maybe 3 4 interviews. Yeah, and sometimes they don't even get hired after those 4 interviews, because they are still learning how to take interviews. Just to get a technical interview is a difficult step, but then you also need how to take it to learn. You need to learn how to take a technical interview. Some people get into an interview today, tomorrow they get into another interview. The same questions that were asked yesterday, they are not able to answer today. So it means you need to continue learning, and that's why we have that formula, the 2 hours a day. So if you go into an interview today and you get challenging questions, uh, after that 2 hours you study whatever was asked, so that the next interview can be better. So you discover that by the time you take 20, 30, 40 interviews, you are already a master in interviews. And so it takes a process to get the results that are expected. But most times people just look at the immediate results. They want to have it right now, but it's sometimes very challenging.
If you are just joining us, we are on set with Primus Vekuh. Primus Learning is a platform. We are talking about navigating the complex IT world, prospects and challenges. And Mr. Primus, one of the things that you just mentioned here is how challenging it is. And I love what you said. IT is not for everybody. In as much as there's money in it, it's not for everybody. And if you don't have that patience, you don't want to master it, it's not worth it. But so with that, I mean, let's focus on the next 20 minutes. I want us to focus on the Primus Learning platform. So walk me through. You have said it's going to take a while, and I know currently, I mean, even though you didn't tell me, there are about 3 programs that are running simultaneously. So walk me through. I now want to start this journey, and I've met you and you have determined that I want to take. So the 3 programs, hold on one second. Let me get you the first one. Let me get you the one I consider the easiest.
All right.
Mm-hmm. So that's not what I want. So the first one I want to look at, because again, cloud computing is big, but I wanted us to, you talked about SOC analyst, or SOC analyst training. So
Yes.
let's deal with this. So what is that, and what does that entail?
All right. So that's SOC analysis is That's a cybersecurity course, right? And SOC simply means the Security Operations Center Analyst. So the training is training you to become somebody who can implement cybersecurity principles, such as detective principles, such as there are different measures and principles in cybersecurity. Detective simply means you are monitoring and making sure that, hey, if there is an attack in an organization, you can trace and find that attack before it even occurs. So you want to be able to detect things that are happening. So if there's an IP address that is hitting your application from a basement in China,
China.
or in Russia or somewhere, right? You want to be able to detect it. So the cybersecurity analyst, the SOC analyst, should be able to monitor systems in organizations and make sure that there's no traffic, there's nothing, no network infiltration that is bad, no malicious activities that are going on, and all that. So that's what a cybersecurity analyst does. He analyzes traffic, monitors applications, the networks, the DNS, and everything around applications. So they normally, the term SOC, or Security Operations Center, came from, it's a little bit historical, because these were actually people you see in an organization. You see them sit on their, you see this in movies, right? They sit and they're monitoring and in a huge data center somewhere, but the role is a little bit changing. And so when you enroll in this course, we first of all start by teaching you what the basic components of an application are, right? Like the network component. You need to understand the network, because those malicious attackers, they will pass through your network. So you need to know what the, an application's network is. You need to know about routers, wireless communication, how packets are sent, protocols. So different protocols within a network and all that. So once you've studied a little bit of that, then you want to begin to learn about tools. Use tools like Splunk that are used in just monitoring, logs. You need to integrate logs from their various applications, so that you can catch whatever thing incidences are occurring, whatever, whoever is accessing an application is monitored. You make sure you track that traffic. So once you get into the program, we start with the network basics, the different basic things that you need to understand about an application, the various components, and then we go into the various tools that you'll be using in your organization to monitor the traffic, to monitor the networks, and also tools that you use to resolve issues, right? So after monitoring, what else? You need to be able to report that issue. There's a way you do that reporting. You need to be able to communicate that, but there's a way you communicate. It's not just writing an email and then sending an email, and if the people are already in your system, they can already see that email and track you down. So there's a way. There are principles, there are policies, and things that you need to learn to get to that place. So once you get in, we have classes 3 times a week. Um, and 2 hours for each session, sometimes above that, because classes get interesting and you need to help people through a lot of errors that they're having. This deals with a lot of tools, right? So you help students throughout that process. And then after the course, the course itself, so the course is about 3 to 4 months. After the course itself, we then help students with resumes for SOC analysts. So we do that process in class. So the resume process, resume building process, is the whole process in class, where we come to class, just um, tell you how you do the introductory part or the summary part, you know how the body of your resume looks, and what are the keywords that organizations are looking for. So we build those together, and then we go into the interview preparations phase. The interview preparations phase is a phase where you want to learn how to talk with recruiters. The first contacts that you make, we build your LinkedIn pages, we build your Indeed pages, your Dice pages, your job boards, the various job boards. We introduce you to the various job boards, and then we we prepare you on the types of interview questions that you will get, how to tell me about yourself, right? To talk to interviewers, because there are famous questions that you need to understand how to answer. After that process, we then have a panel that will interview you. Every candidate is interviewed by a panel. We have a team of different people who come in. You have somebody from the cloud space, because you learn a little bit of cloud things within this program. You have somebody from the cloud team at Primus Learning. You have somebody from the cybersecurity team at Primus Learning. You have somebody from the DevOps team at Primus Learning, because all of these things are related. They're concepts they will ask you, and just to see how you respond, whether you know or not, right? Just to gauge you. And then after that process, we then send you out to the market. Normally, in SOC analysis, you're expected to or in cybersecurity in general, you're expected to have at least a certification. Our course content covers all of that. So after that, we send you to the market. While you're preparing for your certification, you can already start applying for jobs. And yeah, that's how the process works. Once you get your certification, just feed it in and you're good to go. So that's how the cybersecurity SOC analysis program looks.
So from what I saw, this particular piece, the course already started, isn't it? So when is the next offering coming up?
So the next one will be in June. We normally have a session coming 2 months after the previous session.
Okay. So the next one is coming up in June. Let me bring up the next one. SOC analyst, then where are you? That's not what I want. Oh my goodness. Come on, pull that up for me.
Okay. While you put that, I think it's Salesforce. We have Salesforce going on.
Yes, right here. Yeah, you can be talking about the Salesforce while I pull it up.
All right. Yeah, so Salesforce, as the name goes, you have the Salesforce organization. Actually, the Salesforce organization is one of the major players when it comes to cloud computing. They were one of the major founders of the whole cloud computing ideas, or they have a history with cloud computing that goes back about 1995, I think. So they were Salesforce in general is just an organization, but the Salesforce platform has different tools, and it's a cloud platform, and you use these tools to do different things, right? The Salesforce administration course is is a course that helps you to be able to design customer relationship management systems for organizations. It's a bit non-technical. It's not technical. You just go in there, learn one tool or one. I call it a tool, but since it's a cloud platform, there are other related services and all that together. But you just learn one thing, which is that Salesforce administration, and you learn how to create systems for organizations that deal with sales data. So their sales data, you deal with products, product inventory, you deal with different things within an organization, customer service and all that. You can build a customer service system for organizations where they receive and respond to challenges and difficulties about particular services. So the Salesforce administration course is basically a customer relationship management system, but you gradually get into different things as you develop your career in Salesforce. But that particular course, the Salesforce administration, is really very good in the market. Remember, I said Salesforce is a cloud platform, and so you are already in the cloud space. You're working in a cloud space, and that's why they pay Salesforce administrators very well. If you look up the roles in Salesforce, it is you discover that it's really good. And the method of teaching is the same like the SOC analysis. We first of all introduce you to basic concepts like cloud computing, what it's all about, right? And then we move into what the CRM platforms are all about. And then we go into Salesforce itself. What is Salesforce.com? And after that, we then get a little bit practical with the platform. You learn how to create things, how to manage things in the Salesforce platform. After that, it's the other process that continues. That's for the other processes are the same, like the interview preparations phase, the resume building, the certification, and then you being in the market and continuous. I fail to mention the other parts of it, right? Like continuous support. What we don't let our students go. Once you become a part of Primus Learning, you become a part of the community, and so you have support always. We have different groups, different platforms where people communicate. We have also support services that we offer. The support services are for people who have challenges, who face technical challenges at their jobs. We have engineers who are readily available to help you out, right? So once you become a part of the Primus Learning community, it's just a long life journey of learning, of helping each other, holding each other together. We've had people within the Primus Learning space who have recommended their job opportunities and who have helped hire people who graduated from us within their organizations. So it's a whole community where we help each other grow. Yeah, that's how the course looks. Same for DevOps engineering.
So I guess is the program. This one is also 3 to 4 months.
Yes, correct. This one is
Then
3 to 4 months. Yeah.
okay. So again, since you let the cat out of the bag with that one, let's get to it. Seems this is the big boy in town.
Yeah, DevOps engineering. DevOps engineering is an interesting one. DevOps itself, the concept, the DevOps concept itself is new, and so that's why you discover that it's kind of making some waves in the IT space because the concept was developed, I think, 2008 or something like that, around there, and it's all about bringing teams together, right? Development and operations. It's the term DevOps is just about development and operations teams coming together as one. So it's a different team from the development team and a different team from the operations team. It's just like but DevOps is more about principles, cultures, and a way of doing things. But it also requires a lot of tools and technologies. So the DevOps training is at Primus Learning. Normally, most organizations do it for 6 months, but at Primus Learning, we do it from 8 months to 9, 10 months even. We've gone up to a year for some classes that are slow. So we try to wage depending on the various classes. And this course is a little bit technical and challenging. So when getting into the DevOps course, the DevOps course, be prepared to study hard and to learn as much as you can. Um, so it starts off with introduction to cloud computing again. So everything in Primus Learning, you have to get a feel of that cloud platform because there's no organization now that in the next 10 years will probably not be in the cloud space. And so you want to be in that space as well. So we start off with an introduction to cloud computing. Um, Even before then, basic generals in IT, what IT is all about, what information is all about, what the technology about information is all about, how the various components of a computer works, how technology in general works, how data is everything in IT, right? So we start off with basic introduction into IT, and then we go into an introduction to cloud computing, and then we choose a particular cloud computing platform like AWS or Azure or Google. Most we are more focused on AWS because we are an AWS shop. Most of our workloads and everything is running in AWS, and AWS has about 65% share of the market, and that's why we there are more roles, there are more people in the AWS space. That's why we focused on it, and after the introduction, we go a little bit
And just to
deeper.
say, AWS is Amazon Web Service. Am I right?
Yes, correct. Amazon Web Services.
Yeah. So, and just to show that I have a little bit of knowledge about this, but go ahead.
Yeah, so Amazon Web Services, it's all about providing computing services through a web browser, through the cloud. They call it the cloud because you don't know where your resources are served or where you're serving from, or where the organization has its regions. Yeah, you could know that you're running your stuff in US East 1. US East 1 is a region. It's the Virginia region. You could know that your services are running in Cape Town. You could know that your services are running in Ohio, the US East 2. But you don't know what data center. There are different availability zones and data centers in those regions. And so an availability zone is just like a huge, humongous data center that AWS has built with robust security, robust everything. When you see those sites, you're like, you don't even know where they are, right? They're very secure. And so we introduce people to those concepts, and bring them to learn some services in AWS, because they will be needed for as they get into DevOps. Then we bring them into what Linux systems are, or the different operating systems. We usually focus on the Linux operating system because most organizations would use the Linux operating system. After that, we then get into DevOps proper. So you see, there's a whole learning curve, like 2 months before you get into DevOps concepts proper. And then DevOps has a whole lot of tools. You learn about 22 tools throughout the course. And all those tools, at the end of it, you build a project that uses all of those tools. So we build a project from the development phase of the project. So we have code and everything we've developed at Primus Learning. You have to take that code, go through all the phases, the test phases, the pipelines, automate the process so that you deploy it and it becomes an application, a heavy application, and you're able to scale it up using different tools. So that's what you learn throughout the process. And you're learning different options, because most organizations use different options to do the same thing. So you learn different options. That's why the tools are many. And after the training, you basically get into the interview preparations phase, the resume building again, and the technical interview, the panel that you face for this one is really the technical, really technical. So if you pass the technical one, you're almost sure that you're able to get a job anywhere. But of course, the rest of the process has to follow, right? You need to know how to communicate. There are some people who are very technical, but they don't know how to speak it out. They don't know how to bring that information across. There's a particular way to bring knowledge across, and that makes you hireable. There are some people who do not even know a lot, and they're able to maneuver their ways through interviews and get the jobs. So it's more about you at that stage. It's more about you being able to communicate that across. And after that, we do the normal things where we prepare you, give you a certificate of completion, and you can begin taking your certifications. The DevOps course is different from the others. It Ours is generic, so we learn in the AWS platform, but we are not training you to take the AWS DevOps certification. That's different. That's a lot of theory within the AWS space. You could take 2 weeks or 3 weeks afterwards, learn that, and get the certification. But that's not the idea for us. The idea is to be generic, because you're using a lot of tools that are out of the AWS space. So the training is not AWS focused, though we use some of the AWS tools. And so you don't have a particular certification you take. But after the course, you can take about 5 certifications. You can take the Kubernetes administration, you can take the Terraform associate, you can take the Docker associate, you can take a Python certification, and there are others. There are even more than that you can decide to take, right? So that's how the course is structured. And after that, you go again into the market. The normal the rest of the process is it's just you continuing to learn, and we continue to offer that kind of learning, right? Where we mentor people, try to help them. We have groups where we have past students or people who are already working in the market, who help you with interviews, who help just prepare, talk with you about your experiences in the market and all that. So yeah, that's how the DevOps course looks.
So thank you very much, Primus. So, in my understanding, then these are the three major courses you offer. I don't think what I saw you have not. Are you already with the DevOps engineering? Have you started that too?
DevOps, there are three batches of DevOps that are ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah, these ones are a little bit longer, but
Okay.
there's a batch that will be starting in June as well.
Okay. So again, outside these ones, are there any other courses that your platform doesn't offer that if you want to advise somebody to go in for, are there any others that you advise?
Yes, there are a lot of courses, and we are still developing more courses. There's search engine optimization. The class is going on as well. It's just started, and it's mostly for people who are in the marketing space. They want to learn, the latest ways of helping organizations to be ranked in web browsers like Google, like Edge, and so on and so forth. So that is a course that is best suited for marketers or for people who are in the digital marketing space. So we have that course that's currently going on. There are other courses that we are still designing. There is there are particular tools. So the trend in the market is there are a lot of people who want to learn particular skill sets, but they find it hard getting those courses that meet the requirements. So there are a lot of people who are theoretical. They have certifications, but they don't they are not practical. They don't have the tools. They don't know how to walk through projects. So we are designing particular projects in these various technologies. Take for instance, you want to become a Kubernetes administrator. There are roles that are specific for Kubernetes administrators. So we're designing a program for simply Kubernetes, so you can learn Kubernetes and become a Kubernetes administrator, knowing everything about Kubernetes. There are others we're focusing on Terraform and so on. So we have actual courses that are going on in Terraform. So you want to become simply a Terraform architect or a Terraform associate. We have a course for that. Those are specific to the needs of people who are already in the IT space. We have those ones. But there are other courses, right? And that different organizations offer. We are bringing data engineering. We had a session of data engineering. It's just that we've not had consistent numbers of students because that course is a little bit technical, and so people shy away from it. So it's difficult to have a consistent number of students. But we have a course designed for that. So data engineering, and then there's machine learning. Now we have a course that is coming up for machine learning. It demands a little bit of technical knowledge in data mining. So you need a lot of skill sets to get data from different places and clean up that data. You learn a lot of Python, so it involves a lot of programming. You learn a lot of different modules out there and packages. These are different functions that organizations or people have developed, and you can use them to clean up data, to harness data, to optimize on that data, and push it out to different systems. So you can become a machine learning expert within the AWS space. You can actually become a DevOps engineer for machine learning. So in that case, you'll be building simply machine learning pipelines. So you automate machine learning processes for organizations. So there are very specific roles that we're trying to design, but we are not offering those yet. Others include things like database administrators. You still have organizations hiring for database administrators. So there are organizations that train for that. We don't do at Primus Learning. Uh, there are other roles out there, Of course, I mentioned Scrum. I don't offer Scrum and project management. Those are offered out there by some organizations. Yeah, there are other cybersecurity roles. Cybersecurity is very good because there's a lot of attack going on with organizations. So we're offering just SOC analysis for now, but there are all others like risk management frameworks. There are others like governance principles. There are others, there are different career paths within the cybersecurity space. We're not offering those, but they are very good, and I would recommend some depending on different people. There are careers in IT where you just need to know how to read a lot. So maybe somebody like you can fit in very well in a role like risk management, because it's all about writing policies for organizations. Take, for instance, you get hired for an organization, they want to, you need to set up your environment, and you're using a particular tool. They will give you a document, say, hey, if you want to set up a password for this particular thing, it needs to be this number of characters. It needs to be this. It needs to follow this. Those are the types of things that people like that would do. They write frameworks. There are a lot of frameworks out there to protect organizations from their data, from their when it comes to compliance and all of that. Risk management frameworks and governance and all of those roles. There are more, literature, a lot of literature. So people who are literature related, who have that patience to read through and write documents for organizations, they fit very well in those roles.
So it's not completely lost for those of us who did literature
No, no.
and it's this way. Yeah, but the other thing I know we are one above time, but the other thing I wanted us, because we started off talking about those in Europe, America. So Primus Learning, is it just for people who are out of Africa? How does this work? And if people are interested from across the globe, what do they need to do?
All right, great question. So we thank you for that. You hit the questions. I'm and I'm like, wow. All right. Anyway, we have students. Most of our students now in the current courses are actually not from the US or Canada or these regions. We have students from Cameroon. We have students from Kenya. We have students from Nigeria. We established a center in Boya, Cameroon. So we have a physical location in Boya, Cameroon. We have a location that will be established very soon in Kenya. We are registered in Kenya. We are registered in Nigeria. Senegal, we have partnerships with organizations in Senegal, so training organizations in Senegal. So we're growing, right? And you notice that most IT roles that are very technical and need people who are really good, they offer remote opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
All of my SOC analysis teachers, they are teaching from Cameroon. Notice this: they are teaching from Cameroon. Why? They're working for organizations out of Cameroon. That's the part. They're working for organizations out of Cameroon, in the US, in the UK, and so on, in SOC analysis, and they are able to sit in their rooms wherever they are in Cameroon and work for an organization out of Cameroon. Why did we bring them instead of teachers in the US or in the UK? Because it's an opportunity for others to discover that you are not limited by your space. You're not limited by where you are. You can be in Cameroon and learn something and become valuable for an organization in anywhere in the world. What they're looking for is somebody who is good. That's it. No matter where you are, you can get those jobs. There are others that will require citizenship and so on, but you should never be limited by your space, because if you eventually get an opportunity to either travel, come to the US, you get into the job market immediately. If you are in Cameroon, there are so many opportunities. Most of our students in DevOps who are in Cameroon, they have been moving to France, because France is hiring a lot for DevOps roles, because the tools that DevOps uses are mostly developed in English. And so it's difficult for somebody who is French to really master them as somebody who studies in English. They know that Cameroon is a bilingual country, and they can understand both English and French. So they understand the tools that are in English, and they're able to implement them in French and communicate with people. So we've had just the past 3 months, we've had 3 people from Cameroon who are hired in France, and they're currently in France, right? So there are so many opportunities out there. Space doesn't limit, and they're hired by the organizations and brought over there. So there are so many opportunities for people even remotely, and that's why we have those centers set up, and people are coming in. Cameroon is very generic when it comes to skill sets, and so a simple 2 years experience for DevOps engineering in Cameroon, those roles they pay you about 500,000 in Cameroon. That's something good in Cameroon, just within the Cameroon space. But if you have those skill sets and you're very good, trust me, you will not be working for an organization in Cameroon because you are in high demand. Right. So those are some of the the factors that we consider. And people are in Cameroon or in Africa, you have the time to study. There are guys who are really smart, but a lot of they are not aware of opportunities, or they have one factor or another that is not contributing to them having those opportunities. So we're trying just to bring those opportunities to people.
So before we go, the elephant in the room, Primus Learning is not free.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what, I mean, ballpark, I know, yeah, everybody has I mean, there's a kind of a range, isn't it? But for the average student who wants to enroll in any of those three programs, what are they looking at in terms of fees?
All right. So the interesting part with Primus Learning is we try to apply the economies of scale. We look at the the different locations where students are, and we try to just compare and try to um, match them where they are. So, for instance, the SOC analysis course in the US is $1,500. In Cameroon, it is 300,000, which is about somewhere, yeah,
600.
yeah, something like that. In Nigeria, the economy is so bad. Uh, we've brought it down to 500,000 naira. That's about 300 something currently. In Kenya, we've brought it down to about $150
Hmm.
because we're looking at the market in Kenya. Their market is tricky, and we are just getting into the market. So the pricing differs in different regions depending on the economy, depending on how demand looks, and yeah, we consider the immediate situations. The situation in Nigeria is particular. Previously, the cost was we're looking at it from the US dollars perspective. So we put the cost at $600 or 650, somewhere there. Um, but we noticed that that amount in Nigeria currently is about a million something, and so we decided to bring it down to 500,000 naira, so that the dollar amount doesn't really matter for us anymore. But yeah, that's the pricing model.
Great. And you indicated that these courses, you already started them. So, well, our next, if somebody wants to come into the Primus Learning platform today, what should they be looking at?
So great questions. These courses, we've had 3 sessions for each, so and they're all recorded. Right after class, you could always watch. So people who are coming in this weekend, you still have an opportunity to catch up with these sessions. Because you have from today till Thursday, our classes begin on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So from today to Thursday to watch the videos for the past sessions. It's basically been introduction, not too heavy and all that, so you can quickly catch up. But for those who really just want to start fresh with the next schedule, would have courses starting again in June. So June will have sessions for DevOps, engineering, for SOC, and all these other courses that we've mentioned. So
Good.
just reach out to us and we should get you started.
Right, that's the other thing I wanted. Can you send me information as to how to get to you? What is the best way to get to Primus Learning? And let me see. I think I should have an email.
Yeah, to get to us, you just need to hit contact at primuslearning.io. It's not .com, it's .io. Contact at primuslearning.io. Or you just go to our website, primuslearning.io, and you should be able to get somebody to respond to you quickly.
So here we have, so I mean, again, I know we talked about this, but do you find it rewarding? Have you found it that is worth the time? I look at you as our own Bill Gates. That's our own, and you are a young man, and I'm wondering what are some of the challenges you have faced in starting this up and carrying it through, and what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, so the initial phases have been very challenging. So when I started off, that was back in 2018 or 19. I started off alone the lone teacher. So it was very stressful to teach, to go to work, come back in the evening, and jump to class Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, throughout the week, because I had different I had two sessions. Then I was teaching just AWS solutions architecting and DevOps. So I was the single teacher. It was very stressful. But as time has is going, we have about 25 workers with us now, or teachers and people who work with us. So it's grown. We've we've developed different courses and different programs. There are a lot of challenges when it comes to getting clients and students who are willing to learn and go throughout the process, because we for instance, if you start a course with six people in class, that's really challenging to get a teacher who will teach through. It means you will run, by the time the course is ending, you'll be at a deficit because you'll be paying the teacher and you'll not be able to cover up everything. So getting the right candidates and students who are really willing to go through the programs. We've had people who drop out because it's either technical or challenging for them. So you have to deal constantly with trying to motivate people and all that. So that's a technical challenge that we have. There are other challenges, right? Like the time differences. So, for instance, the SOC analysis course, there are a lot of people who are interested in Kenya who are not able to enroll because we have one session, and we hold it in at 7 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. Eastern is 1
PM.
1 a.m. in
Okay.
Cameroon, and in Kenya it's 3 a.m. So it's very challenging for them. So we kind of find ourselves not being able to really accommodate them, but we're trying to figure out how to break the sessions, have sessions, their morning hours or their evening hours or comfortable hours. That's a huge challenge that we face, and also getting instructors that are very good. We're trying to get just the best for Primus Learning, and sometimes it's difficult to get committed instructors because you are not just an instructor; you have to be willing to work with us. So sometimes getting really good instructors is challenging. Sometimes you get people who learned through the process and they are not really very good, and so you have to deal with. Um, Imagine having to drop a teacher um, midway classes. That's hard. So it's sometimes just making those decisions is in itself challenging. But yeah, there are other smaller challenges that we go through on day to day basis, like technology challenges. There are people who sometimes have network issues connecting from wherever they are. Yeah, those are challenges that we deal with by recording the sessions. If you're dropped by your internet, you can always go back and watch the session afterwards. Yeah, those are some of the challenges so far.
So again, for those who are interested, there are three courses currently running concurrently on Primus Learning. That's Salesforce administration, SOC analysts, and DevOps. So those three, if you're interested, primuslearning.io, or you can send an email to contact@primuslearning.io. Like Primus indicated at the beginning of this show, you may just want to, you are not sure of what to do, you can reach out and there'll be an orientation. They'll interview you and they're able to walk you through and see where to fit you. They have just had 3 sessions, so it's a good time to roll in and take this. So again, this is an opportunity getting into the IT world, navigating that complex world. You have Primus Learning that has broken it down so that you can chew and swallow. I think they're able to put it into your mouth even if it's that difficult. But Primus, any last word?
Just to tell people that it's possible to become anything, right? It's possible to become anything anywhere you are. Don't be limited by your space. Don't be limited by the 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 things you see as opportunities and you're not able to get them. You're trying to grasp and you're not able to get them. Uh, at least you need to take a step. Get out of the comfort zones, and just drop something in your bucket, and challenge yourself with that, and learn it up. Pick up a skill set in anything. Just challenge yourself with a skill set, I like to talk a lot about self-development because it's absolutely important. There's something that you've been doing. I admire that, but I'm always leaving the writing. I know that I can write, right? I know how, but sometimes I'm like, oh man, do I really see that? Better I just write my code on something and do that. So I see that as a challenge, right? I can challenge myself to get into that if I really but you need to be able to challenge yourself, get up to work, and do something. So you can be anything you want to become if you really put your mind into it. And there's money out there to be made. It's not only in IT. There are other things, right? I like to say that because I don't see myself in the next 20 years to remain in IT because yeah, or rather, if I'm still in IT, I need to be managing platforms. I need to be investing in IT, right? So do not be static. We don't want to be in one place. If you're in one place, everything will run over you. IT is continuous. The world is changing, and so my best advice for you should be please change as things are changing as well. Do not be in one place. Learn new skill sets. Um, Listen to different ideas about different things. Don't even if you're in IT already. Listen to what's real estate, right? You can learn about real estate. Just open up into other areas. There's a lot of money to be made. There are a lot of opportunities in different areas and different platforms that we can make use of as we continue in the journey of life. So thanks so much. You always inspire me. Thanks for the opportunity.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the piece of advice that you're giving. So, if you don't know, Primus had a background in philosophy and theology, if I'm not mistaken. He went to a seminary and today is running a Primus Learning platform, something in IT. Again, he's not telling you something he has not tried. You can become whatever you want to. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the energy. Okay, listen to others. IT is not all. It's not all the be all and end all, isn't it? But it is exciting. There is money in it. You can become whatever you want to become. That's our take-home lesson. And Primus and I have an agreement that will always, once there's time, will come on to say something, and I really appreciate that. So once more, thank you. Go to primuslearning.io or contact at primuslearning.io. If you have any hitches, you can always come back to the Lambom Show. You can search that up. And again, for those who just joined us or those who will be watching and listening later, subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Lambom Show. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye bye.